This is a good initiative that requires a lot of funding, like
Yeah.
you said. But has there been any government official, because now you are waiting the government to come and provide some support, but has there been any government official coming to help say, while we are with the government, this is what I have at least to help improve the talent development scheme?
Not at the moment. But we remain hopeful. The team visited, a delegation visited the parliament. They met with the Speaker of the House. They saw the players, and we've also started to invite other, organizations. We are open to any kind of support. Food supplies, logistics, anything that can support with the hosting of the boys. And soon we want to be taking on girls, and we'll be running the activities on site and off site, because there's some kids we will not be able to take to the center. So our off site program will be at the blue field, where the player will come after school and then be able to go back home. But we want to make sure they are well fed, eat 3 times a day and have all of the basic needs, medical insurance, everything. And it's costly, like I keep saying. So we are opening and looking up to a lot of other individuals who can come in and support this initiative. The parents have been supportive, bringing in their kids, but we will be responsible, to take care of the schooling and other things like that. And it's not something so easy, but we remain positive. We've submitted those documents to national government through the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and we remain hopeful that someday we can get some support.
Have you been impressed by the players, the ones who are there, their performance?
Yes, I am. One will question the performance at the just ended the WAFU tournament, that they couldn't score a goal. But we have to look at the root cause, look at the body morphology of our players today in the country, look at our work in terms of carrying the rightful ages, and looking at our players compared to others who play. Many said that the caliber of players who carry the fit under 15, but those are players that actually fit under 17. And we are hopeful that this is the first, major tournament that they went in, and it's a process of development. And in the process of development, there will be wins, there will be challenges, there will be issues, and that's where we come from in terms of maintaining and sustaining the program to ensure that we have a better performance in the future.
Good. Let's talk about some progress made so far in women's and men's football.
Well, huge progress, I can say, from the side of women's football. 2018, when we took over the Football Association, we had 8 teams.
Okay.
8 teams, 1 league, no promotion, no relegation, non-participation in any international competition. So the idea was to grow and push women's football to a higher level. And, we look at issues in terms of challenges and how we could mitigate and narrow gaps. So first step we first focused on was to give initial incentives, financial incentives to the clubs. That was not significant enough, because in 2018 we had a very short league. So we want to give around 500 to the clubs to see how that could impact the clubs. In 2019, we decided then to introduce a test program called the Subvention, where we started with the women's football, because we felt that, looking at how they play organized league, the girls were playing one-sided and not moving, in terms of coordination. So a lot of things were introduced in 2019. The LFA hired coaches at the expense of the Football Association and assigned them to those clubs. We increased the number of clubs, because we felt that there needed to be more competition. So we assigned coaches, increased the number of clubs, then we provided equipment support to the clubs, and to ensure that every club will have equipment, to train, the coaches, pay the capacity of the coaches and give it equipment. Then we introduced the subvention of $3,937 to each of those clubs. Moving forward, we thought that there was a need to also bring in more competition. Now, playing a league where there's no relegation or promotion, it weakens the players, because you're not fighting for anything. So we introduced a lower league. And, when we came with the lower league, we were like, bring a new league system into place. There won't be no transfer of players from that league. And the clubs in the upper league got angry. The officials were like, they threw the grenade at me, we're unreasonable. But the idea was that we wanted to create a new pool of players. And in order to create that pool and to strengthen it, Do not create and leave it open for people to take our players, and then it won't succeed. So we remain firm as the LFA Executive Committee that 2 years there will be no transfer from the lower league. And today, I mean, you can see in terms of the decision we made it more stronger. Then we thought about, more cash incentives. So we grew the subvention from 3,937 to 4,200, from 4,200 to 5,000, from 5,000, today is $6,000 to each club. Then we also thought about, look, we cannot, as the LFA, inherit debts and not address the payment of those debts. The past administration, we took over a lot of debts. Clubs who won the championship couldn't get their money, so we tried to clear up all of the clubs. Then the COVID relief funds that we got, as the LFA, we said, you know what, we must ensure that we give and distribute this money evenly. It's something that I feel very proud of, that no one can come and question us. We received 1.8 million US dollars. We ensure that the entire football community in Liberia received these fundings. So a club that was nowhere, in the past, no one thought about that club coming at any level in the future to win a championship. Determined Girls. It became like, ruling women's football. It started ruling women's football because of the significant amount of investment we made as the LFA, introducing the subvention, clearing up debts, bringing more money to women's football, increasing the cash awards, and ensuring that those cash payments were made available. So we didn't just promise to say, if you win the cup, I will give them money and don't give it to you. The first thing we did was clear the debts that the old administration had for clubs. So the likes of senior female professional, they received a lot of money that was, the LFA was indebted to, and they had to pay them. After clearing all of that, now we introduce, and today, if you followed, the cash awards for the women's football team, I can tell you, left from, 150,000 Liberian dollars. Today, if a women's team carried the cup, it's around 25,000 US dollars. And Determined Girls has, in the past, taken US 20,000 US dollars when the cup was around $20,000 US, I believe, over 2 times. So it just shows you in terms of what we've done for women's football, not just staying there. The first edition of the Women's Champions League qualifiers in Cape Verde, the Liberia Football Association funded Determined Girls, who contributed around 68,000 US dollars for our women's football champion to travel to Cape Verde to participate in that championship. So it was about pushing and creating the picture where we were strengthening and encourage more girls to play football. And because of what we've done within our country and what we've done outside, making women's football more attractive, you've seen there's a huge growth in terms of the number of women's football players that are not professional players coming from outside of Liberia. Guineans, Nigerians, Ivorians, Sierra Leoneans, Ghanaians, Gambians, all now attracted to Liberian women's football. Quite different from the past, because when you bring all this kind of investment, and attraction to it, more competitions, it is what you see today. Now we have a women's community league to soon be named the 3rd Division League. We have a women's lower league in Mustapha, and then we have the women's upper league. Now, one would think in terms of what we continue talking about, we've continued to grow the women's football. We don't just limit ourselves to Montserrat County. Today, there's women's football teams present in Lofa County that you can count, that you can see. There are women's football teams in Nimba County. They have recently participated in the national playoffs to qualify to the upper league. Women's football team, like I said, we have a U15 league in Grand Jide County, and there's a women's football league in Grand Jide, women's football league in Raji, women's football league in Maryland, in Grand Crew. So our objective is to show that we, organize those leagues in the rest of the other counties that do not have women's football league functional. Magibi County has the presence of women's football team that participate in the leagues in Montserrat. Grand Bassa County also have a women's football team called Bassa Girls that participate. So we are creating that opportunity for a lot of women, to play football. And, kudos as well to the women's football stakeholders. It's so easy to manage and run a women's football club because no one wants to sponsor the team. It's being handled by, individuals who just have the passion to run football. We are also there as the LFA to give the little we can give, but we think these clubs need more support, and the more support they get, we will see women's football even improve, to a higher level. I mean, the clubs are struggling. So we as the LFA, in addition to all of the funding, I've talked about opportunities, we came back again to introduce additional opportunities. One, a lot of changes in terms of the rules that never ever existed that we've introduced during my administration. So the first thing we did was that looking at the payment of yellow cards and red cards, we thought that look, the clubs are paying at every event when you have a yellow card or red card, one payment. We said no. To reduce the cost at the head of the club, when you get 3 cards, you pay a fee for one time. Okay. Then we went further to say, look, you know what? The LFA is going to cancel registration fees to participate in the league. Why do we do that? Keep the money for registration fee and use it on your team, because we want the clubs to save more money to reinvest. Then we went further. In the past, clubs were paying for free agent fees. When a player no longer holds a contract with a club, the LFA was receiving money, from teams. We took over and said, no, we cannot do that. We want the clubs to have more money to invest into the operations of the clubs. We've canceled that. No club in Liberia today pay money for a free agent. Then we look at the bigger picture. Who is developing and investing in the clubs? They are the clubs. The players. They are the clubs. In the past, when a player is transferred from one club to another, the funding that comes to the club, the players was entitled to 15%. Okay. The LFA had to take around 35%, and the rest of the other goes to the club. We said no. The clubs are investing in the development of their players, and we want more money in the pockets of the club owners. So what we decided as the executive committee was that, you know what, if a player is transferred to club Y, and the transfer fee is $100,000, $100,000 goes to that club. Now, it's the responsibility of the clubs under the laws of Liberia, looking at the revenue code, because each and every club, under our administration will ensure that they must have an article of incorporation, have a business registration that is valid, and must also have a tax clearance when they're doing this transaction. So they must pay taxes to national government. So it's an income, and it's under the responsibility as a private entity to pay taxes. So we decided to come with all of these opportunities to continuously strengthen. Again, on top of that, we've introduced the equipment support program where we give free soccer balls to the teams. Equipment, we give the women's football a couple of times, we give them soccer shoes, we give them jerseys. This season, we just released 30 soccer balls. You can see, some of the balls here, we gave each of the upper league teams 30 soccer balls in the first division, the second division, and women's upper league. And we're going to be distributing footballs to all of the teams registered in our Connect system. A minimum of 10 footballs is going to be going to each of the 4th division, 3rd division teams, because we assure all of our clubs, that we want to strengthen them, we want to save them of additional costs. So the cost of 30 balls, instead of clubs investing money to go and purchase 30 balls, they can still use that money to reinvest it in the club. So this is our own way of strengthening our clubs and making sure that we keep the money away back to them, and then continuously reinvest the money for football in football development.
Takes us back to teams' performance, especially the national teams, the under-17 national women's team, under-17 national men's team, and the national team, both males and females, their performance since 2018, making all of these efforts to see how best Liberian football can get on par with other countries, and seeing your national team poorly performing in tournaments and leagues. Recently, the Liberia national team was unable to qualify for the World Cup as well as AFCON, and recently the under-17 national women's team finished third in the WAFU under-17 women's tournament that was held at the SKD, and the under-17 national men team that went to Malay to participate, massive defeat. You being the president and making all of these efforts and seeing your teams not performing, how does it feel?
Well, we're making progress. If you look at the youth national teams, I think we're making significant progress. One would not see the progress level until we start to see the results coming like in the past. We inherited a structure where we never had these leagues active or these national teams having these opportunities. No excuse. Youth football is a development stage where we are growing and grooming players. As I stated, you saw that we started these youth programs where we can identify the players. We took the risk as the LFA that yes, looking at development, we will be patient enough, and that's how you saw us sending the TDS team to represent our under 17 competition. With our girls under 17, I mean, you rarely see how many girls are playing, I mean, football.
Okay.
It was a team recently organized to create a chance for our girls, because now we're going to be looking at the introduction of our U15 Girls League, U12 Girls League, because we do not have those leagues in place. You have limited number of girls who are playing, you know, at that level, and we need to do that because we're going to be integrated with the talent development scheme where we have young girls as well going to the center to be developed. From the side of the senior national team, one would say the performance is not good. Well, I love for all of us to measure in terms of what we are getting in terms of our preparation. There are challenges we face or we faced through the process. The performances, I cannot rate it very bad looking at the level of preparation. The coaches did the utmost best, and the players themselves, you know, made a lot of sacrifices. I mean, there are instances where we played matches. I mean, last match played in Liberia that we won against Namibia. I'm telling you, I mean, the players on the day of the match didn't have any per diem, but they played and won. So there are challenges we face, but I'm positive. I see that there are progress in that we're making with the national team. Some won't recognize it because they're not looking in the root cause or looking at the challenges we face with the national teams. Our national team went into the next phase of competition without even participating or playing a test match. I mean, this is something that the coaches called for, but the funding weren't available for them to participate in the test match to
Is it
test
that
the players in the system.
the government has not been providing support?
Well, we didn't get the support for the international friendly. And support, you know, when we talk about support, we need to be clear in terms of how we define it.
Okay.
If I tell you that the government did not provide funding, I will be unfair to the national government. But when we be asking, when did the funding come? Did we receive funding for international friendlies? No. When did we receive the funding for the matches between Namibia and Equatorial Guinea? Was on the day of the match. I mean, the day after the match, sorry. When Liberia won, that's when we got the bonuses to pay the players. And that's when we got all of the money. So how do you expect us to prepare? How do you expect the team to, you know, play in the national friendly? So all of these things, you know, one will say that we're complaining. We're not complaining, but we have to be real to put this forward. We want our team to win, but we must ensure that we support them in a timely way, give them all of the opportunities. Today, as a country, we are exploring to play international friendly during the November window. Are we going to get the support to play through the November window? I cannot say that. Now, on the other part, in terms of saying support, one will say, yes, the team is getting support because the government provided money. Yes, they provided money. Was it in time? No. I mean, we travel also to Tunisia to play with no money. When did we receive the money? Few hours to the match. I mean, does it affect the players? Well, we can ask, you know, counselors who are expert in the behavior of people to ascertain whether it affects players in terms of motivation, in terms of focus of the game and other things. Because a player going to play a game shouldn't be distracted. So we go through a lot of different kind of challenges in the national team. But I'm happy looking at the progress in the last 3 matches. We had a draw, you know, a win and a draw. I mean, good progress, and I think with the young players we have, we need to invest in a timely way. And I'm very positive if we do that, we can see Liberia in the next African Cup of Nations. Mind you, there are a lot of others who are involved in these group competitions. I mean, in a group of Tunisia, not a country to joke with. They invest a lot, you know, spend a lot on their team because they want to get, and they got the results that they got back. I mean, Liberia, we had an opportunity to, you know, get where we needed to, I mean, in terms of reaching the stage to play us, but you know, through the preparation stage, I mean, there were challenges. I mean, it shouldn't be strange to any of us, all right? I see, it happening. We do not want it to happen, and we are very positive that maybe looking at what the government has seen, you know, in the last matches, I'm sure come November or next year, the government will do more Mind you, we are aware there are challenges, but I'm sure they're going to do more. From the side of women's football, I'm happy. If a lot of people haven't recognized that Liberia women's team was never ever ranked. We took over for the first time. I mean, Liberia football women's Liberia national team, female team, I mean, was ranked on the FIFA table. So we see that as an improvement, and we're making progress. And very sure you saw the qualifiers in Mauritania, what happened in Mauritania, and we will prepare stronger again with the women's national team. I mean, that is a responsibility of the Liberia Football Association, because I mean, the government is currently not in a position to take over the responsibility of the women's national team. Again, it's the LFA that have to do it. So we have to manage with the little we have, to push these national teams activities.
The under 17 women's team and national women's team were not part of the World Cup qualifiers draw. Is there any risks? The team risks?
Well, in football, first of all, you must engage. Once you don't engage, I mean, you are not sanctioned. But I don't think it was good for us. We pushed that to the level of the government, was the owner of the national team. It was not in position to give us that authorization to engage the team. I mean, as I said, up to now, we've not been given any green in terms of taking over the responsibility of the senior national team. There was a meeting held at the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and the ministry was not in a position to give us a full answer in terms of assuming the cost of the coaches and etc. So the feedback from the Ministry of Youth and Sports was that we should continue doing what we were doing as the LFA, to take the responsibility in terms of the cost of the senior national team coach from the women's national team. So it's something that we're going to discuss at our executive committee meeting today, because we want to see, our women's team play, but again, the challenges and the cost is huge on the LFA. We have to do the senior national team. We have to do the women's under 20. We have to do the women's under 17, boys under 17, TDS program, boys under 15, boys under 20. All right, run all of our leagues. I mean, the fund is just limited. We have to also get support from the same old funding we are receiving from FIFA to the club. So it isn't so easy on the LFA, but we do not also want, to disappoint our girls. So we have to explore, continue to engage with other partners, see who can get support to support some of our teams.